advisors, I'm super excited to introduce you to Elements in Real Life. This is a series of videos we're putting together to help you better understand how to do financial planning with Elements. Each week, Elements advisors will take real client questions and show you how they use the vital signs to provide real advice. So check it out, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey everybody, I'm Colton Etherton. I'm on the Elements Advisor Success team and previously ran my own firm out of the office planning, working with tattoo artists and using Elements.
I'm Becky Walsh. I am at Oak Maple Finance, and I've been using Elements for a couple of years now, and I'm based in Northern Vermont.
Awesome. All right, Becky. Well, today we have a fun one. I think it's fun because I like this conversation. We are going to talk about, can I leave my job and start a business? And we're going to look at a scorecard that you have for us to see how we can use Elements to answer that question.
Yeah, so can you see the scorecard here?
I sure can. Yep.
Great. So just a little background, this married couple clients, they're 45 and 46. Their total current annual income is $370,000. $70,000 is from one of the partners and $300,000 is from the other. So the question then becomes, okay, which one of them is quitting their job? Because that actually has a huge different answers either way. So when I'm looking at this, let's say that he is the one, so he's the high earner, the $300,000 per year. Let's say that he wants to quit his job, and he's actually someone who 12 years ago, we did an analysis of whether he could go cut back on one day of work to stay home with the kids. And his comment was, wow, I'm an expensive nanny. So some of the questions going to be, are you willing to give up some things in order to do this thing that you want to do? So if they were to decrease his income, that would leave them with $70,000 in a year in her income, which on annual spending of $120,000, that's going to give us some pause. So what I would do is I'd look here at their assets row at the liquid term and see, okay, well, they actually do have some amount of liquidity that would allow him to stop that $300,000 a year income in order to start to build a business. As business owners or former business owners, we know it takes some time to have a business start returning an income. So I would want to make sure they have a very long runway in this liquid term bucket. So what I know is that actually some of this liquid term is their college savings. And so that entire liquid term is not available for this runway. About 2.2 of the liquid term is available if that is something he wanted to do, if he wanted to step back from the work he's doing now and build. The next thing I would look at is their liquid term. How are they in terms of building their wealth to allow them to have financial independence in the future? So a liquid term of 20, so that means we put all their assets in a pile and divide it by their
Sorry, you mean total term?
20.
Total term of 20?
Total term. I'm sorry, did I say liquid term? Yes, total term of 20.
Okay, yeah.
They are well on their way to building financial sustainability. Other things I know about these clients is their parents are very generous, and their parents also will likely leave them an inheritance. So the total term of 20 there, I'm not worried if they were to put a pause on adding to it for a while. I'm not worried that they'd be able to build it again in the future, either through gifts from parents or through an inheritance, or again from once his income picks up again from building a business.
Does he have like a rough estimate of how long it'd take him to kind of get some income going?
So
and what that income would look like, I guess, compared to.
So that's the next line of questioning, right? Is so would they be able to cut back on their expenses enough and be able to cover their liquid term? The next line of questioning is, what's that business plan going to look like? So I don't yet have the yes, no answer based on the information that we have at this time. I have enough to say, okay, this is a possibility worth considering. Let's get more information. Let's ask more questions. And that's a great question, is how long would it take, do you think, until you're cash flow positive, making some income? And then we'd probably double whatever that estimate was of how long he thinks it would take.
Yeah. And I'd also want to know if there's any startup cost, depending on what the business is, right, that maybe will take away from some of that liquid term.
Sure. Yep. Another piece is that some of their real estate term is related to their current job. So they currently have a stake in a business, and part of that stake is real estate. And if they were to leave that business, they would have money to invest either in their lifestyle or in the startup costs for a business.
Okay, interesting. Gotcha. Question for you on their cash flow. So I'm noticing we're missing a little bit.
Yeah, we are missing a bit.
So is that would also be something that, I'd want to run by before having that discussion, right? So like, is that burn rate accurate, or is that like, where's the other almost 40%?
So that has gone into building their liquid term.
Okay.
But not with any specific savings plan. We probably don't have the entirety of their current savings accounted for here.
Okay.
I did
assume that with how high their numbers are in the 5%.
Yeah.
That doesn't, unless they just made a change or something like that, doesn't
they are also in the middle of a pretty big change, spending pretty big lifestyle spending. That's a one-time lifestyle spend. It's the annual spending is capturing their carrying costs, but not major lifestyle spends.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
So yeah, but that's always, as I'm looking at spending, okay, is everything being captured in that row? I far prefer to see these numbers add up to less than 100 than more than 100.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What other questions do you have as you look at this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously when looking at liquid term and then equity rate, it looks like there is a good portion of it actually in cash and not brokerage accounts, is my assumption in looking at this.
Yep.
Because that would be a concern too. Like, is any of this invested in something that we would then have to pay taxes on? What about their insurance rate? Like, is that?
So
do they have kids? I don't remember if you said they had kids.
They do have kids, and we're actually, where we are in our process of rolling out Elements, we've not yet populated insurance for most of our clients. So that insurance rate is inaccurate.
Okay, perfect. I figured usually when it's zero, that's the case, but wanted to double check.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think, based on the information you've told me and talking through, like, I lean towards they can, or they're getting close to be able to leave the job and start a business, right? Depending on when he thinks income might pick up, but like, their spending is relatively low given their current income, so it's not a huge difference. Their debt isn't crazy. And a big part of that middle row will change, obviously, with the tax rate likely decreasing as well.
Or the total dollars in taxes paid at least decreasing. The tax rate might not decrease dramatically, but the dollars paid would. And burn rate's going to go up. Because the denominator there of income is going to go down. At first. And then what would happen eventually is we'll get that new little red box here that will show business term. If he's able to build a business that has any saleable value, that would be a new box that we'd add on here and start watching that grow as well.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely think, again, depending on how willing they are to take risk, right? Or if they're risk averse, right? I'd
Yeah.
say they're there or close to there, if they wanted to give themselves more of a cushion. It
Yeah.
looks like they have the room to be able to do that for a little bit,
Yeah.
or they could probably jump right in.
And in that place of being there or close to there, that's an awesome planning opportunity to be like, all right, what steps do we need to do to
Mhm.
get you to there? And what's your next action to make this dream happen?
Yeah, because if there's steps that are going to take them 6 months to really get it up, to get it going, then that's another 6 months of savings. We can stack that liquid term and really be.
And that 6 months might be a time to pull down the spending number a little bit as well.
Mhm.
Given that their debt rate is quite low,
Mhm.
there is a lot of wiggle room in spending. And so what take a look at what those expense lines are that they might have some ability to curtail in the time that they're building the business.
Yeah. And looking, as you hover over debt rate, it's low right now, but it's, I think, 28K. So, that would be really high if we're only looking at the 70K.
That's true. That would go up above
Right?
the 30.
Almost 50%, 40%.
28.
If their income was only 70
Yep.
grand after.
Right.
Yeah, this is an interesting situation.
Yeah.
But fun. They have, I think, like I said, they're able to do it if they wanted to, assuming it wasn't something that isn't, as long as they're expecting to get income in a decent time, right? If they're like, oh, it's a business that won't pay us for 2 to 3 years, then it's like,
Yeah, and then it's okay. And in 2 to 3 years, you're going to be starting to look at spending down some of this liquid term on college expenses. So it's we'd want to put probably milestones in. All right, when any start of a business is a risk. So when do we reassess this risk? When do we, look at what the other options are for you? And say, put those milestones and keep track of them. Stay there with the client as they go through them.
Yeah, I love that. Some check-ins. Well, thanks, Becky. This is a lot of fun to talk through this one. This is probably one of my favorite conversations to have with somebody is the starting a business one. So
yeah,
that's good.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Colton, for the great questions, for the great observations, and I'll let you know what they decide to do.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky.
All right. Thanks, Colton.
So what did you think about that? We'd love to hear your thoughts about how we answered that question. Do you think that you would have answered it differently? Comment below and let us know. Now, if you have a scorecard that you want us to dissect or a client question you want answered using elements but aren't sure how, send us the client's one-page plan to cs@getelements.com, and we hope to catch you next time.